Okay, we're going to move on to lesson 44, which is multiplying and dividing mixed numerals. So the easiest way to multiply and divide mixed numerals is to convert them into improper fractions, which you have learned how to do. So if we have 4 1/3, which is a mixed numeral, and we want to multiply it, that little dot stands for multiplying, by 6/5. Here's what we have to do first. We have to make sure that they're both fractions before we can multiply. So changing 4 1/3 to to an improper fraction means first you multiply these two and then you add these. 3 times 4 is 12. 12 plus 1 is 13. So we get 13/3 times 6/5. Now that they're both fractions, we can go ahead and multiply, and we can cancel if we can. So we can see that these two numbers, the 6 and the 3, both have the factor of 3. So we can divide each of them by 3. 6 divided by 3 is 2. 3 divided by 3 is 1. Sorry about that. So now we haven't anything else that we can cancel. There are no more numbers that have common factors. So we multiply the numerators. 13 times 2 is 26. And 1 times 5 is 5. So when you multiply 4 1/3 times 6/5, you get 26/5. That is the correct answer. You could also write it as 5 1/5 if you want to write it as a mixed numeral. Let's try another one. Let's start off with a new piece of paper. We're going to try 2 1/4 times 3 1/3 times 5 1/12. We're going to go ahead and change these all to improper fractions. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 1 is 9, so this becomes 9/4. 3 times 3 is 9, plus 1 is 10, this becomes 10/3. 12 times 5 is 60, plus 1 is 61, so that becomes 61/12. So now we go ahead, before we multiply these numerators, we want to go ahead and see if there's anything that we can cancel. Right away, I can see that 3 is a common factor between 9 and 3. And remember, we can only cancel one numerator with one denominator. We can't cancel two numerators or two denominators. It has to be one on the top and one on the bottom. Dividing a 3 out of both 9 and 3 gives us 3 here and a 1 right here. What else can we do? I see that these two numbers are both even, so we could divide them each by 2. 10 divided by 2 is 5, and 4 divided by 2 is 2. And looking at this, I can see that we can take, there's a common thing here. We have a 3 and a 12. Both of those can be divided by 3 evenly. So we take 3 divided by 3 is 1, and 12 divided by 3 is 4. Now I don't think that there's anything else that we can multiply, anything else that we can cancel. So we'll go ahead and multiply the numerators. 5 times 61 equals 305. 2 times 1 times 4 equals 8. The answer is 305/8. You don't have to change it back into a mixed numeral. You can if you'd like, but it is fine to leave it as 305/8. Along these same lines, we're going to try dividing mixed numerals. So we have 2 1/8 divided by 3 2/3. It looks kind of complicated until you remember that this line right here means divided by. So what we're going to do is first change them into improper fractions. 2 1/8 becomes 17/8, because 8 times 2 is 16, plus 1 is 17. So the numerator becomes 17/8. The denominator becomes 3 times 3 is 9, plus 2 is 11, 11/3. Now we have 17/8 divided by 11/3. Remember, when you divide by a fraction, it's the same as multiplying by its reciprocal. So we switch the numerator and the denominator around. So now we have 17/8 times 3/11. You look and see if there's anything that we can cancel. We don't have any common factors, so there is no canceling. So then we just go ahead and multiply the numerators, which gives us 51 And then 8 times 11 is 88. So the answer to this problem, 2 1/8 divided by 3 2/3, the answer is 51/88. We're going to do one more, and then I think we'll be done. I'm going to start with a fresh paper because this one has both division and multiplication. So I want to make sure that you know how to do these kind. 4 1/8 divided by 2 1/5 times 3 1/4 divided by 5 1/2. What does that equal? First step is to write each one as an improper fraction. 4 1/8 becomes 33/8. 2 1/5 becomes 11/5. 3 1/4 becomes 13/4. And 5 1/2 becomes 11/2. Now we see we have a mixture. We have two division signs, and then we also have a multiplication sign. So the division ones, when you divide by a fraction, it's the same as multiplying by its reciprocal. So we have 33/8. We're going to change this into multiplication. We're going to change 11/5 into its reciprocal, which is switching the numerator and the denominator around. It gives us 5/11. We're going to multiply that by 13/4. We're just going to bring that down. And here we have another division sign that we have to change to multiplication. Switch that to its reciprocal. Now we're ready to see if we can cancel anything. I see that we can take that a 33 and 11 both have a common factor of 11. 11 divided by 11 is 1. 33 divided by 11 is 3. What else do we have? We have a 2 right here and an 8 right here. We can divide each of those by 2, which gives us a 1 here and a 4 here. There isn't anything else that we can cancel, so we multiply 15 times 13, which is 195. Then we multiply this bottom. 4 times 1 is 4, times 4 is 16, 16 times 11. 16 times 11, you figure that out, becomes 176. So the answer to this problem right here is 195, 176. And you can leave it like that. When you're doing these problems, remember, if there's a division, you change it to multiplication and switch it to the reciprocal.